snacks and water, or even your notebooks, because we will be starting officially right now. So let me just share my screen with all of you so that you can all get this webinar started. Okay, let me just make this full screen for all of you. All right, great. So welcome everyone. My name is Daniel and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Now, welcome to QA Talks. We are a community-based initiative that is mainly focused on QA talks, test automation talks, job posts, inspiring events, noted global speakers, workshops, and the latest tech updates in the QA industry. Now, if you want to learn more about us, you can explore our website here in the chat box, which I will be putting for all of you here. All right. Now, I'm Daniel, your host, and let's get this webinar started. Now, for all of you who are new, just to let you guys know, this is our vision, which is to invite all of you and create this community to share your knowledge and experiences for everyone. That is our mission, and our mission is to take all that knowledge and use it to share with the community, by the community, for the community, through events and conferences, just like this one. All right. Now, we also have this initiative called Blogger of the Month. So if you are interested in sharing all your test, automation and QA knowledge through a blogging platform, please do scan the QR code, and we would love to have your blogs be shared with the rest of the community. And we will also have our Blogger of the Month, where you will get certified and be announced as our Blogger of the Month. And that is for the community. If you would like to join us, head on over to this link as well. All right. And we also have our TechnoX training, which means if you are interested in learning courses from us, this is another thing that we have as well for our community members, which you can also find here in the chat. All right, fantastic. Now, I would also like to take this time to thank our sponsors, our diamond sponsor, which is XLQ, our silver sponsor, Virtualan, our gold sponsor, Lambda Test, our bronze sponsor, Meteor QS, and our community collaborators, which are Test Compass and QA Tube. And also our official certificate sponsor is Certify.me. All right. And we also have our community partners, which are all of these guys. So if you are a community for QA as well, please let us know, and we would love to collaborate with all of you guys. And this is now before we start, here are some gentle reminders. Please log in from a quiet environment so that if you were to accidentally unmute, it will not interrupt the speaker who has turned on his camera. So you can see him right now and he is smiling. Hi, hi. All right. And also mute your microphones and stay muted until the end of the session to avoid any unintentional interruptions. We have a 10-minute QA session at the end, so do type in your questions so that we can address them at the end. And during this Q&A session, if you were to raise your hand, that is for if you want to ask your question verbally, you can also do that as well. The chat box is open for all of you to have healthy discussions in the chat box. And this is also your opportunity to just have fun and make some new testing friends through our webinar. All right. And if you want to follow us, there we go. If you want to follow us, here are all of our social media platforms for you to stay up to date with our community. And this is also our Discord. Now you may be wondering why our Discord is on a different slide. It's because we have our Discord specially for you guys if you want to interact with our speakers directly. That's right. If you want to speak to Saravanan personally, Discord is the place where you can go so that we can have these discussions. All right. It is time for me to pass the floor to our speaker, Saravanan. All right, Saravanan, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was very nice that you have taken all our community things. So let me share my screen. Let me start with today's webinars. Okay, so hope everybody can see my screen.
Can see your screen.
Yeah, thank you. So again, welcome you all for the one more webinar. So today, and I'm the presenter. So the session, the webinar that we are going to learn about is the Postman, which is powered by QA Talks community. Okay. So before we get into things, just I want to introduce myself. So about me, my name is Saravanan Srinivasan, and I have around like 11 years of experience in the industry. So I'm currently working as QA lead engineer. So I do both functional and automation as well. So my company name is it's Mr. Cooper. It is located based out of Chennai. Okay, it's India. So I work on my skills. I work on both like a functional web automation, desktop automation, and I involve myself with the API performance and CI/CD pipeline like Azure, Jenkins, etc., etc. Okay, so that is the things, big things about me. So today the webinar is all about Postman features, right? So we all know, I mean, most of the crowd, right? Most of the participants that you have joined today, maybe most of you be, I mean, using the Postman testing, I mean, Postman for API testing, right? So Postman, it is one of the very powerful tool and very easy to learning the things for API testing. Even eventually you can, once you are familiar with the functional or manual of API testing using Postman, you can eventually move to the towards to the automation, right? So like I mean, a guy from like a manual background, or he's, I mean, about to start the API testing, right? So better tool I recommend is API. So not only the Postman, there are different tools that support the API testing, right? So I mean, we have a SOAP UI. Likewise, we have Swagger, and even JMeter also we can do API testing, right? So like Postman, we have Postman, like we have Postman also, right? So even if you have these many list of tool, right? So when I asked the same question I asked in the LinkedIn like a couple of weeks before, right? So what kind of tool the maximum crowd is using, right? So I got the most of the answers is Postman, right? So the Postman, so we know the power of the Postman, and we know the features, and I mean, rest of the things, right? So we have so many features, and today, right, so I want to cover a couple of features that where tester will be using more often, right? So we will cover those features in today's topic. And there are a lot of features. So, I mean, if you feel like some features, main features is not covered as a part of this webinar, please feel free to reach out in the comment section. This is videos streamed across all the live stream like a LinkedIn, YouTube, right? So you can go and share your comments. We'll take it as an input. So we'll be covering the next session. Okay, upcoming session, we will be cover the most feature that required by the participants. Okay. So today, these are the features that we are going to cover as a part of this webinar. So import and exporting the data and the dynamic variables and generating the client code, triggering the collections run with the webhooks. Okay, these are the 4 topics I have planned for today. So we'll see one by one. I will explain on the theoretical way, as well as I will do the workshop, or I will do the demo in the Postman as well. Okay. So the first one is importing the data, right? So Postman, we all know, we just create a collection. We create environment files, we create some APIs, we create some monitors. There are so many things, right? So when we all work as a collaborative model, right? So today I just created some collection. The same collection I want to share with across my team, who's sitting in another end, right? So I want to share with them. So there are multiple options available. You can create a workspace where you can share workspace along with your team. Okay, if that is not possible, because workspace sharing that will come under the I mean, with the free plan of Postman, you have some restriction. Okay, so you don't have a free, I mean, you don't have a paid account and you are using the free one. So there we will use this export import option, right? So the collections that you import, I mean, you have it in your Postman workspace. You can import and you can export them. Okay, and these are the options for import. So like you can, I mean, you can import collection, environment, data terms, global variables. There are so many things. Okay, you can import and you can export. And when it is come to import, right? So not every file you cannot import, right? So the Postman also, it has some capability of supporting some particular data formats, right? So that is what we are going to see. So you can import your data from files, folders, links, raw text from the code repository. Okay, so the code repository option is the recently Postman has brought up. Okay, so they have initially started with the GitHub. Now we have a Bitbucket as well. Okay, so you can, if you have the code in your GitHub account or Bitbucket, you can directly import them into the Postman. Okay, so that's what we are going to see. So this is all about importing the data. So I will switch back to the Postman. So everybody can see my screen, Postman.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So as soon as you launch the Postman, so here you will find a button called import, right? So when you click on the import, so here you have an option to upload the files, right? So the upload the file in the sense, either you can upload the file or you can upload the open APIs or GraphQL, curl method, WSDL or car file also. Okay. So now I'm just going to upload one file. So I'm just clicking on up file. So the file which I have is, it's a JSON file. Okay. So here you can see this is a JSON file and the collection name is soap.postman underscore collection, which is a JSON file. So upon clicking open, you can see this is a collection name. Okay. And this is a collection format and this will be imported as a collection. So that file has nothing. That file has only JSON. Okay, I have exported one more, I just created one more JSON that I'm trying to import here. So when I click on import, so here you can see the collection soap imported here. Right bottom corner, you can see the notification. So when you expand this one, you can see it here, whatever I have imported that is successfully loaded into my workspace, right? So likewise, you can, just upload the folder also. So here we have something called har file, right? So har file is nothing, HTTP archive, right? So that so how do we download that har file in the sense? So we will go to simply this. This is a most of the people using for the practicing the API, right? So REQ is the website. So we will go here. Okay, so right click and you can go to the dev tools. On the dev tools, so whatever the actions you are performing on the screen, right? So it will be captured in the network calls, right? So for example, when I do the refresh here, so here you can see this is simple get method, right? So here, you can see all the details that gone into the network tab, right? So now the har file. So how to get the har file, right? So you can right click on this method, okay, and you can go for this save all as har content, right? Or you can copy as the method that you want. Okay, you can copy as a shell, or you can copy all as a har file, right? So har file is nothing. It's a HTTP archive method. Okay. So when you save this one, so it will be stored as a har format. Okay. So that is what I have done it here. You can see req.res, that is in the har file format, right? So this one also you can directly integrate, import it. So for example, when you have a set of actions that you want to do in the application, right? So for example, navigating the menu, right? So A, B, C, D. So all the API, if you want to do, you can directly get that har file from the Postman, from the network tool, dev tool, then you can run it. You can import them as collection here. Okay. So now I'm just clicking on here and I have done this har file already downloaded. So I'm just clicking on open now. Okay. So here you can see the format is har file, right? And this is a request name. So when I did the import, so here you can see this is what the the endpoint that we have seen in the network tool also. It will come. Okay. So everything will come. This has been set as a collection variable. Again, that variables and all, it is different concept. We will cover as the upcoming session. Okay. So these are the way like you can import, okay, by using the file. The folder is very direct one. Okay. In the folder you might have any files like a har file or JSON. You can directly upload the folder here. Okay. And the next one is link. Link in the sense, it can be any JSON link. JSON link means, so most of the companies will maintain their all APIs into the Swagger, right? So most of us might have access for this Swagger. If you don't have, there is a Swagger. We have some set of collection which is open. Anybody can access it. So this pet store is one of the collection. Okay, and you can see this you can directly use it here as well. So if you want to, try these things, like just click on the try out button and follow the instruction what they have given. Okay. So this is one complete collection. So if you see here, this has post, code, I mean, it has set of requests. Okay, this is for pet, and this is for store, and this is for user, right? So this is a set of collections, subset of collection what they have under this Swagger Pet Store. Okay, so if you want to import this, if you want to use this to in the Postman, right? So if you are not comfort with the Swagger directly using it here, you can move it to the Postman. So for that, now what you can do, you don't want to copy paste all the requests. Okay, you have it you have this JSON here, right? So you can simply copy this JSON link. Okay, all the Swagger file has this one, this JSON link. Okay, in your even your personal thing as well, or I mean in the company level also. Okay, just copy this, just go to here and you just paste them here. Okay, so this is via importing via link, JSON link. Okay, so now we can see Swagger 2.0 and Swagger Pet Store is a collection name and importing as a API. So far what we have seen, we were importing as a collection, right? So this is the API level. So you can import API variables, collection, everything you can do. Okay. So now this is a API since it has automatically moved to the API here, right? So this is what we have seen. So pet store user. This is what the subset that we have in the Swagger page as well, right? So here you can see pet, store, and user, right? So this is one more option. And like I told you, you can import the raw text also. Raw text is nothing like a curl method, right? So like this also you can import. So the last one is code repository, right? So it was introduced very recently. First step they have introduced for the GitHub, and I mean they have introduced Bitbucket following the GitHub. Okay, so if you have your code in GitHub, right? So I will go with the GitHub account. So simply click on the GitHub. So it will redirect you for the authentication. Okay. So you have to provide the valid username password to integrate Postman with your GitHub. Okay. So first time when you do it, it will ask you for the username password. Since I have already done that, so it is directly gone into the authorization validation. Okay. So now we can see this is my GitHub name. Okay. This is my username actually. So here I have multiple repositories. Okay. So here you can see I have Allure, coding, Cucumber. There are so many things, correct? So here, if you see this one, Newman. So this Newman is my repository. My Postman collection repository. So now I will go to my repository. Okay, this is my profile. Under this, I have multiple repositories. So I have created one Postman. It's just a folder. The folder I'm just maintaining two files. So one is a collection file and one is environment file. Okay, this is completely used for Postman purpose. Running my APIs. So now I can select this one, right? And I have only one branch here, which is master branch, right? So when I click on continue, so now we can see I have this Azure pipeline as a collection and one more Azure pipeline, which is an environment file. So this will import as a collection and this will be imported as an environment. I'm just clicking on import here. Okay, so here you can see collection also imported and environment also imported. So I can go to the environments, I can see this. And in the collection level also, you can see the Azure pipeline is imported, right? So likewise, you can use the Bitbucket also. Okay, so this is all about import options. Okay, so this is how, if somebody is sharing the things with you, right? So somebody has created some collection and they want to share with they can export their collection and they can share along with the JSON URL or along with this JSON file, or they can keep it in the repository. From the repository, you can directly import them. Okay. So the next topic is likewise how we did the import. Same thing we can do the export way as well, right? So in the Postman, you can export the collection environment at a data dumps and global variables as well as a JSON file. Okay. So why do we export the data in the sense? See, we are writing something in the Postman. Even without Postman, also the code has capability of running the things, right? So for that reason, I'm going to show you around how you can use Hitman for testing and create. For that reason, we will go for a Newman. Okay. Can somebody? So that reason we will use the Newman. Newman is nothing again. It's a Node.js NPM package module. So which will provide the capability of running your collections in the terminal way. Okay, so that's where it will help you to run your Postman collections in the Jenkins or Azure DevOps, any CI/CD development tool, okay, environment. So now we can export the collection, export the environment, and export the data dump also possible. Data dump is in the entire thing, whatever you have. Okay, so now we'll see that one as well. So now, for example, I have this collection. So you can export them like you're simply going as a share. So if you know somebody, if you want to access, I mean, if you want to give the access to them, you can directly write the email or the entire, I mean, the username of the Postman, you can use it. Otherwise, you can go to this JSON link. When you click on the get JSON link, no, this will give you the public link. So if I provide this link, whatever work, I mean, whatever the collections I have created here, you can use them. Okay, you can simply export them. I mean, use the share option. So get a JSON link. If I give this link, you can directly go to the import and you can go to this link option where you can post them and you can import them. Okay, so this is one option for exporting, and another option is here you can see exporting as a JSON file. Okay, so here you can see this will be exported as a JSON file format. So you can save them in your computer and you can share it with along, I mean, emails or any communication channel that you can share with them. Okay, so this will export it as a JSON file. Again, they have to import as a JSON file like this. Okay, so apart from this, you want to export the entire thing, right? So here you can go to the settings. So under the settings, you can go to data. So under the data, here you can see export all your collection as a single file, right? So that is what they're calling as a dump. Okay, exporting data dump. So this will export all the collections, whatever you have it in your workspace. Okay, so likewise, you can import also. So when you do this, no, it will take some time. Okay, it will redirect you to the Postman account. In the Postman account, you have to give us some, I mean, some input where you have to agree. So it will ask you for the authentication kind of stuff. So it will, once it is done, you can export the data. Okay, so after this exporting is done. So any question, if you guys have any question, please feel free to ask in the chat window. I mean, we will discuss on the end of the session. Okay. So the next topic is dynamic variables. So dynamic variables is nothing. So when we user create a variable, no, like a equal to 1, 2, 3, right? So that is user variable. So likewise, we have some dynamic variables also, which is the Postman has some inbuilt library to support this dynamic variables. Okay. So Postman has integrated with the Faker library, which is coming from JS, okay, JavaScript. So that Faker library will provide the some dynamic variables, some dummy data, right? So for example, here you can see if you use this GUID, right? So GUID is nothing. It's a kind of alphanumeric. It has some set of formats, right? So for example, timestamp. So timestamp, you don't want to generate the timestamp. So if you want to use the timestamp yourself, right? So you have to go for moment.js or any other time related JS libraries, right? So to generate today's, current time date. So in Java, we'll go for a time utilities, right? So similarly, we have, JavaScript, we have moment.js, and there are so many libraries available. So you don't want to go for that one. You don't want to write a code to generate the today's date or to get a timestamp. Okay, there is some default dynamic variables available, which is given by the Faker library to the Postman. You can use them directly. Okay, so that is what this is a format. So you have to put a dollar symbol before you're using it. So now this is how it will look. Okay, so dollar symbol within the double curly braces, you have to provide the variables that is defined by the Postman. Okay, so now for example, this is a dynamic variables. So here, this is one post method I'm creating. Okay, so in the post method, it's a kind of user creation, right? So in the user creation, what we'll do, we'll give the username, we'll give the mobile number, we'll give the city, address, everything, right? So that can be anything. So this is since for the dummy purpose, for the testing purpose. So here you can see I'm giving the name. So name, I want to get some random name, right? So that's the reason I'm using this dynamic variable, which is given by the Postman default, right? So they call as a default variable and dynamic variable also. So this will give you the random full name, and this will give you the random phone number, and this will give you the random color. This will give you the random ID, and this is for job title. So likewise, we have n number of this. Okay, so the list also I will be sharing in the chat window, so where you can refer them. So here you can see the response. So this is what we are getting. So the name is coming as a Tanya Jacobson, and this is a phone number, and this is a color, and this is ID number, and this is a job title, and this city, right? So if I send this request again, I will be getting some random number again. Okay, so it will be keep on like this. So when it will be very useful when you go for a multiple data, right? So you have test cases or you have a scenario where you have to onboard multiple users record, or where you have to create multiple users with record with multiple, I mean with the different names, right? So in such a case, you can simply use like this. So instead of, we have alternative method, we have alternative so many methods, like you can go for a data driven where you can store all the values of this parameter into the Excel sheet or CSV file or JSON file, right? So instead of doing that, we have, I mean, such a nice feature, which is dynamic variables in the Postman. You can use them. Okay. So like timestamp, and also we discussed, right? So timestamp also you can send it. So now you can, so the dynamic variables lists are here. Okay. So you can see this is a complete page. You have everything. So if you want to generate some with some random UID, everything you have. Okay. So by using this, you can see, I mean, some random latitude also you can get, and country code also you can get, and random images also available. If you want to get some random images, there are so many things are available. Bank account name, bank name, right? So we have multiple options. You can use anything. Okay. So this is most of the feature, I mean, that I want to share with you guys, because it is very useful. So when it's come to the data driven, you don't want to, I mean, separate, maintain the data in the CSV format or JSON format, right? So that's all on the dynamic variables. And we have one more options, which is very, very good feature. Maybe most of you might be knowing about this client code generation, right? So whatever the test that we write in the Postman, okay, it will work only in the Postman. Maybe another tool like a Postman, right? So if you want to convert this request or this collections, whatever you really know, you want to convert as some native language, like the C# or C or curl method, Go, Java, anything, JavaScript, PHP, Ruby. There are so many languages, so many supports frameworks we have for generating the codes for our request. Okay. So how do we generate? Simply go to the Postman. Okay, so now this is a request, right? So this is a request. So I will, here you will find a button called, here you can see the right side of the Postman code, right? So this is simple post method. Okay, and we are sending some body here, and this is my endpoint. Okay, so if you want to write this code in Java, right? You want to, you do, you if at all like you are not very sure, or you are not very clear how to write the code in for this REST, I mean this API, right? So there is this request. So basically, for when it's come to Java, we use REST Assured for REST API testing or any API testing. And we, in the JavaScript, we use Access, and there are the request libraries also available in JavaScript, right? So similarly, we have different libraries which will support the API testing in different languages. Okay. So when you click on this code button on the right side, so here you can see this is a code snippet. Okay. And when you click on the drop down, so here you can see all the languages under the supporting frameworks, right? So this one you can see this is a curl method. Okay. So this is a curl method. And you can see all the data. So the data is this one, and this is the endpoint, and this is the header value, what is going. Okay, so if you want to take it as a Java framework, right? So there is a OK HTTP, which will be supporting the library for the API. So when you click on this is a code. Okay. So if you want to use JavaScript with Access or request library or native library, so simply click on the Node.js, this one, and this is a code for executing. Okay, so this is how the JavaScript Node.js code works. So what you can do now, you can copy this code, and you can create one JS file. You can run this complete request as a JS file. I mean the JavaScript file. Okay, so you can run it as a node space, whatever the file name that you have saved. No, you can run that. So this is for Node.js. So likewise, we have multiple things like a PHP, Ruby, Shell, PowerShell as well. Okay. So this has some limitations. So for example, if I go here, okay, so if this has some limitations. So if it don't have any prerequisites or if it doesn't have any test methods that you have written on the Postman, right? So that will help you. So if you have some, I mean, if you have done some testing, right? So you have written some assertions like this, right? So if you go and export this, that will not give you the test method here. Okay. So you have to manually write some line of code to validate, to perform the assertion. Okay. So in the Postman, whatever you have written here, so this is the assertion I have written, right? So basically I'm just checking, I'm getting the 200 response or not. So this is JavaScript function we have to write. Postman suppose only JavaScript. Okay. And it has some assertion libraries that is coming from the chai. Okay. I mean, the Postman is by default using the chai library to the assertion validation parts. So this line of code will not be shown here. So you have to, so here you can see they are anyway doing this JSON signify the response data. So which means that the JSON will be printed in the console. Okay. So from here you can start the response. So now you can see that the response data, right? So this is coming as a response. So from there you can start, driving towards to your output. To your end node to capture and validate the details. Okay, so now, for example, response.status that might give you the 200. So like that, you can write couple of line code to do the assertion when you export as a code. Okay, so this is one of the feature which we have. Okay, so this is good to know. So for example, no, people may ask, hey, can you share that this single request as a curl method? Okay, so you can simply click on this and you can copy this. So how do we import this curl method? Again, you have to go to the import method. So here you can see the raw text option, right? So simply paste this one and click on continue. So now you can see this format is curl it is automatically identified by the Postman. Okay, so when you do just import, it will be imported like this. Okay, so now you can see it is just imported. Okay, so this is one option that we have. Just I want to share. Okay, so I will be sharing all this reference. Everything is available in the Postman documents itself. Okay, so I will be sharing this URL for your reference. So the next one and the last one is triggering the runs with the webhooks. Okay, so webhook is nothing. A Postman has. So you have created some collections. Okay, that collections either you have to come to the Postman, or there are multiple ways you can run your collection by scheduling option, by exporting via Newman and scheduling it. Everything is, there are multiple options, but one more option is what we have in the runs, triggering the runs with the webhooks, right? So the webhook will provide the way to automate and send the data from one applications to another. Okay. So for that, what we need know, you can create some collections and you can plan that collection when do you want to run it. Okay. So that is what we are going to see now. So this is a webhook demo which I have just created. Okay. So here, this is the request I have. So request 1 and request 2. It's a just simple get method. It doesn't have any much details. So it will, when I run this one, the both requests will run. Okay. So for that, what I have to do, I have to come to this request to run window, and I have to run as a collection here. Okay. So I have to click on the run here. So this is how we'll manually run the collection through the Postman. Okay. So if at all, if you want to run in without Postman, then you have to go for an option called Newman, right? So if you don't want to use Postman and no Newman also, so what we can do, you can create one webhook. Okay. So webhook is nothing for creating this access for this collection to execute in the URL way, right? So URL means anywhere anybody can access it. Can run it actually. So for that, you have to create one webhook. So webhook URL is this one. So this workspace ID is nothing. So likewise, so here this is a workspace, right? So I'm currently into the my workspace. My personal workspace. So likewise, I have multiple workspace which is publical, and I have some personal workspace as well, right? So this is belongs to my personal workspace. So this workspace ID also you can get it via the Postman API. Okay. So even in the Postman also, you can use all the APIs to do all the functionality. So for example, if you want to create some collections, right? So via this API, you can create a collection. Okay, so if you go to this create collection method, it has simple authentication API keys that is unique for every account that you have it in the Postman. Okay, so when you go to this method, you can provide the collection name, you can provide the description, everything you can provide, and you can create it. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell is, so even the Postman also, it is API driven. Okay, so I mean through API also you can achieve. Okay, so this for doing this activity, you need a API account key, so which will be unique for all the accounts that you have it in the Postman. Okay, so now we have to create a webhook. So for creating the webhook, you have to tell which workspace ID, right? So this is my workspace, my personal workspace ID, which I have taken from my Postman API. Okay, there you will find all the things like all the workspace ID, all the collections ID, all the environment ID, you will get it. Okay, so with that, you can use it. So this one, right? So this one, you can see this is coming as a error unresolved variable, right? So in the Postman, we have multiple variables like collection, environment, and a global as well as the local variable, right? So this is since coming it from the local variable. Okay, so this is where I'm setting this workspace ID. So this will be executed on the runtime. Okay, so that's the reason it is coming as an error. So in the body, what I'm sending now, I'm just about to create the one webhook. So this is my webhook name. So webhook name also, I'm sending it from my local variable, okay, which is Saravanan webhook. Okay, and collection ID for this is my collection, right? So webhook demo is my collection. So how do I get this collection ID? This is my collection ID. Okay, so basically it's a collection UID, they will call it. So how do we get this? Again, you have to go to the Postman API. So here, if you expand get collections, right? So when I do this, I will be getting all the collections what I have it in this workspace. Okay. So here I have, I mean, this will give you all the collections, whatever you account, I mean, whatever the workspace that you have, right? So we are looking for a webhook demo. Okay, so this is a collection, right? And this is a UID. So collection UID. This is ID, which is 12230, right? So that is what I'm sending it here to create the webhook. Okay, so this is what I'm sending it here. And I have set it as a local variable. So this will work only on the runtime. Okay, so now if I go to this monitors, right? So in the monitor is empty. You have no monitor setup, right? So as soon as I create this webhook, so now here you can see one monitor will be created. So here you can see Saravanan webhook, which is my webhook name. Okay, this is what the webhook name I'm sending in the my prerequisite is, right? So Saravanan webhook demo, right? So now you can see the webhook is created. Okay, in the right side the response, you can see it is 200 and the webhook name is created and collections also created. Now this one is a URL, right? So now this URL you can share with it. Okay, so you can simply copy this URL and you can go to any browser. Okay, so I'm coming to this browser. So I'm just putting this URL. Okay, and here you can see it is just created the monitors. It is not even executed. So when I click on here, so here you can see there are no runs. Okay, so now I'm just pasting this URL here and I'm just going to click on enter. Okay, so which is giving us a okay. Okay, now if I come back to the Postman, so here you can see it is started. The execution is started. You can see it was 2:45 p.m., which is my local time. Okay, and here you can see the things, whatever the execution, right? So I have written some basic text to display it here, right? So in the console log also you can see. Okay, so now each time when I do this refresh now, this will be called. Okay, so now you can see the entry 2, right? So now I'm going to do one more time. So now you can see entry 3, right? So which is 2:46 p.m. So likewise, you can do it. Okay. So before that, what you have to do now, so make sure, so it will be run on, it will be keep on running. Okay. So this has some limitations. Limitations since we are using the free accounts, right? So you have some limitations on the API usage. Okay, so now you can see I have used the 80 request, 80 API usage, right, out of 1,000. So make sure I mean, if you don't want to run anymore, you can simply go here and you can pass them. Okay, so here you can pass them. So when you did the pass, it will run. Okay, so this is the one option what we have. Either what, if you want to delete also, fine, you can delete it. Okay, so now again you can create a workspace. So what you want to know is just you want to share this URL. With this URL, anybody can trigger that collection to execute them. Okay, so again we have monitor options. That is a bigger one where you can create monitor yourself and you can schedule and you can go for a run. Okay, and any failures and all, no, user will get notified through the email or anything. So it has multiple integration as well, like Slack. We have Microsoft Teams also. Okay, so that's all about this triggering the runs with the webhooks. So any questions on these topics? Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, before we complete, so there are multiple programs available by the Postman. Okay, so there you can participate and you can win the multiple. You can get the badges basically, and the swags as well. You can get it. Okay, so there are so many programs. I will give this reference in the chat window as well. Student programs are available, and there is a 30 days challenges going on the Postman side, and there are some API learning courses also available. And the Postman will always conduct some session, and they have a YouTube channel also. You can join and you can get benefited. Okay, so and thanks for everyone to joining this session. And here are my few references. I have my YouTube channel where you can learn all related to the testing activities, and this is my LinkedIn profile, and I have GitHub repositories with the like a different kind of framework on Java, JavaScript, and the REST Azure as well. And this is my Postman community where I'm kind of supporting answers and giving the solutions as well. Okay, and that's all I have. And thanks to the QA community for providing such a wonderful option to take this webinar.
The pleasure is ours, Saravanan. Thank you so much for being our speaker here today. All right,
Yeah.
so now is the time for the Q&A session. So Saravanan, are you ready for the Q&A session?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, great. So the first question here is from Jay, who is not, I don't think, part of the webinar anymore, but hopefully he rejoined. He asked, can repo from Azure be cloned in Postman?
Can a repo from, no. Right now, it has two repositories. So one is GitHub and one is Bitbucket, right? So only these two are available.
All right, great. And the next question here is, can we have same names for global variables in Postman?
Global variables as well as?
Not sure. Well, the question is, can we have same names for global variables in Postman? For the person that asked this question, would you like to unmute yourself and ask verbally?
Yeah, so you can create a variables, global variables, collections variables, and environment variables, local variables. It has a preference. Okay, it has a preference. So for example, local variables are more preferred than the collection, or local variables are more preferred than the environment, right? So likewise, global is a bigger one. So it's a kind of umbrella where you can use across any collections. So when it comes to the collection variable, it is applicable only for the collection level. Okay. So it has a preference, so where you can refer the document and you can go by your preference.
All right, fantastic. The next question is from Deepak. How to create reports in Postman so we can create and share with the other person outside of Postman? If possible, please show us.
Yes. That is another topic. So by default, right, so you will not get any HTML report kind of stuff from the Postman, but you will get as a JSON report. Okay, so when you run a collection on the right, above the top right corner, you can see export as a report. You have a button called export report that will give you the JSON file format. Okay, So if at all, if you want to share some HTML, some good attractive reports, then you have to go for additional libraries, which is given by the NPM, right? So you might have here this HTML extra reporter, right? And we have HTML reporter also. So HTML extra reporter, right? So it is very good one. Okay, you have a detail about all the collections, failures, everything. Okay, so I recommend you to go for and refer this HTML. You just go to the Google and type HTML extra Newman report. Okay, it is very self-explained. You don't want to worry about anything. It is nothing like, it is like a 5 minutes or 2 minutes configuration. You have to install one node package module. So the prerequisites are like you must have the Node.js installed on your system. That's it.
Okay.
And you have to run the command. Yeah.
Great. I want to move on to Ola Banjo's question, but I see Deepak has replied to your answer. He says, let's just go quickly to Deepak real quick. Can we create a pass-fail visual assertion report so everyone can read it?
Yes, you can. So when you use this HTML extra report, right? So that will give you the clarity of what is failed and what is passed, how many assertions failed, everything. Maybe I can take a quick look on that.
All right. Thank you for the guide. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you, Deepak, for asking your follow-up questions. Really appreciate it. All right. So let's go back to the queue of questions. Oh, wait. Well, yeah, Saravanan wants to show you guys real quick.
So this is a module. Okay. This is a Newman HTML, reporter HTML extra, right? So it's just 2-step installation. So once you've done this is a sample report. Okay. So here you can see skipped one, failed one, and passed one, everything. Okay. So this is a report. This is how the report looks. It is just about like a 2 minutes setup. So here you can switch to a dark and light theme. You can see total iteration, total assertions, everything. Okay, this report you can generate in the Azure DevOps also.
Nice. Thank you so much, Saravanan, for showing us visually for Deepak. He says, thank you for the guide. Thanks a lot. All right. Yes, nice. Thanks you. All right. So our next question is from Ola Banjo. He asks, can you explain the snippet code with examples?
Yeah, snippet code in the sense, if you want, you have some request written, right? So if you want to export that as a some Node.js, we have a access and request library, right? So you can export them and you can save them as a JS file, a JavaScript file, and you can execute them by using the Node.js, right? So most of the people will use this curl, export as a curl. They want to share it with someone else, right? So it is not being effectively used, but you want to still know there is such an option. So for example, if somebody asks, can you write the same code in Java, or can you write the same code in JavaScript, right? So we don't want to think about, we don't want to study. We can take a reference from the Postman. Okay, this is how we have to write. Okay, so that's the reason this snippet is available. You can explore more.
That's really good advice. Just explore. All right. So we have our next question, which is from Shaheen Sultana. Shaheen asks, is it possible to reuse the authentication token for multiple requests?
That is based on the design, right? So for example, if you log into net banking, right? Any net banking, if you log in, no, they will not allow you for more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes ideal time, right? So you can log in and you can do, you can navigate to all the tabs, or you can do some operations, right? So if you sit for idle 15 minutes or 10 minutes, they will send out you and they will show the session is logged out, right? So which means the authentication purpose is you are an authorized person to access them, right? So if something is suspicious and you are not doing anything, no, it has a validity time, it has an expiry time basically. Okay, so that may be 10 minutes, or that may be one day, or that may be like a 2-3 hours also. So that is based on the design. Okay, so if you ask me, for example, I have a execution of 1 hour, right? But my token will expire within the 30 minutes, right? So how do I manage? How do I come to know my token got expired, right? So you have to plan. You have to plan in the sense my test will be running for 1 hour, right? So within the 1 hour, what I do know, every 20 minutes, I will hit on my get token API to get the new token, right? So that is a solution. I mean, that is one of the solution. So likewise, you can think that you can apply it because you don't want to get the code break because of the authentication fail. I mean, the token expired, correct? And the second question is, we can have same names for global variables in the Postman. Yeah, you can have it, but again, the preference, right? So the global is last one. The preference is local, environment, collection, and the global. Okay. So local, environment, collection, global. So if you have, I mean, a name in the local level and the same name in the variable global level, so local will get the preference. Okay. So yeah, that's the answer. And we can create pass fail visual. Yeah, that's the answer. According to
Yes.
you, will be the most useful methodology for our Postman or for REST APIs. No, that is what. If you are new to this REST API testing, right? So then you can very well start with the Postman. So eventually you can move for REST Azure. Okay, so REST Azure involves 100% code. So where the Postman, right? So even Postman also you can automate. You can write some assertions by using the JavaScript code. Even extensive automation also you can run in the Postman. So that giving you the capability of running your code in Jenkins, Azure DevOps, any CI/CD environment, correct? But it has some limitation where you cannot reuse the methods or reuse the things. Okay.
Thank you, Milton, for your question. And yeah, Shaheen says she's thankful for you giving an example. So thank you for that. She also did ask, is it preferable to save our work on Postman Cloud?
Yes. So Postman recently introduced this scratchpad thing, right? So if you don't log in or if you don't sign up into the Postman, right? Whatever the work that you have done so far, it will be in your local laptop system. Okay. So if at all, if your laptop is corrupted, right? So and you are switching for the new laptop, right? You are getting the new laptop. So by the moment when you log in, no, you will not have that work. Whatever your previous work will not be retimed. Okay. So that's a reason you have to sign in. Okay. So when you sign in, no, automatically whatever the work that you do, it will be stored in the Postman server. It will be synced in the Postman server. So even if you change the laptop also, you just sign in with the same account, you will get your work to, I mean, all the collections, all the work that you have done, it will get back to your new laptop. Okay. So that's the reason it is always preferable. If you're dealing with some very sensitive information data and all, no, you don't want to do that. Okay. And if you're trying for yourself, it is like a complete open thing. See, when you learn something, no, obviously you will get it from Google. So when it is available in the Google, Postman will not make any harm with it, right? So it is always to sign in and do your activities.
That is true. All right, and we have our final question from Sahil. For those of you, we still have a few more minutes. So if you want to get your question answered, this is your last chance to do so. But if not, then this will be the final question. And it's from Sahil, which is, can we auto trigger Beaver token in endpoint instead of copy pasting each time?
So barrier token, right? So barrier token, it is again can be it can be a get method, it can be a post method, right? So copy pasting in the sense, I don't know what you are trying to say. You can set it as some variable, right? So if you set for some variable, for example, the token is valid for next 15 minutes, right? So after 15 minutes, even like in the 12th minute or 13th minute, you can make one more call and to overwrite the existing value. Copy paste, I'm not getting it clearly.
All right.
Sahil.
Yeah, yes, Sahil, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually what is the case? First we have to run the token, then we have to copy paste the token ID and put it in the post method of the endpoint to go in the body. So that's why I just wanted
you can set it as a variable. Okay. So when you create the variable, so you will be getting in the response, right? So in the response, you have to write a couple of code to read that response value. Okay. So you are sending like a 1, 2, 3. So here it will be like alphanumeric A 1, 2, 3 B, right? Something will come. That you have to store it as a JSON. I mean, you have to read the JSON response. You have to take the token value as some variable. You can store it in the collection level or environment level. So when the variable gets stored somewhere, you can use them into the post method. Okay.
Did that
Got
answer
it.
your
Thank you
question?
so much. Yes, yes, of course. Thank you so much.
Correct. Thank you.
Glad to hear that, Sahil. Thank you for following up. We really appreciate that. In fact, speaking of following up, we do have Olabanjo here. Thank you so much for being our final question, Olabanjo. So he says he's confused between testing API manual and automation. Could you make a clarification, Saravanan?
So API manual in the sense, so you will get all the details from the developer or the requirements. You will put it to in the Postman, copy paste everything, and when you hit on send button, you will be getting the response, right? That response you are validating through your eyeballs, correct? So it is more like a functional or manual testing, right? So for example, you are trying to get your details, right? So when you go for user slash get details of Obalancho, right? So Obalancho, when you try to retrieve details of Obalancho, your name should be Obalancho, right? And your mobile number should be whatever that you have given. So that you are validating through your eyeball, correct? So if you don't have a Postman, even the test want to automate it, right? So you have to write some assertions. So that automation can be done anything. It is not only in the Postman or it's not only in the REST as well. Okay, anything that you are doing everything in the manual way, that is comes under the manual. So if you are trying to automate something, see without you also the collection is running, and if it is giving the results, that's how the automation works. When you write something additionally to validate your test, that comes under the automation. In automation also, you can tell like a 10% I have done. I have written code for validating only the name or only the ID, right?
Olabanjo, did this answer your question? Please let us know. Can you give us a thumbs up, or if there's any more clarification that you might need? We would love to know that you are clarified, so that we feel satisfied that our community members have the understanding. Okay, thanks very much. Answer is clear. Thank you so much, Olabanjo, and everyone else for the questions. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Saravanan, for answering all of them. All right, now we have come to the end of the Q&A session. Thank you all so much again for all of your questions. And now I'm going to show you guys our farewell, which is right here. All right, so let me just make this full screen for all of you. All right, so for all of you, if you want to speak to Saravanan directly, because he is part of the community, do join our Discord channel. You can either scan the QR code that is on the screen, or you can go into the chat box that I've already pasted in the chat box for you. Just click on the link and you can join our Discord. Additionally, we do have our upcoming events, which are Techno Lead Talks 2022 and the Codeless Conference coming up in April 9th and 10th. So we hope to see you guys there. All right, and that concludes our session. We want to thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Saravanan, for being here. And this concludes our webinar. Any final words, Saravanan?
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to do more. So please do reach out in the comment section for any additional topics that you guys are interested to cover. Thanks to everyone, all the participants, and thanks to the QA Talks community channel. And there is very special thanks to Daniel for hosting this such a wonderful event. Thank you.
All right, that's it. Thank you all so much, everyone, for being here, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, everyone.